Hello, I'm Mrs. Sapp, and today we will be reviewing first grade math, addition and subtraction, real-world problems. The last few times we met, we looked at addition problems by themselves and subtraction problems by themselves. Today we're going to put them together, and it's going to be up to you to decide if we're adding or subtracting. We'll still be using the same strategies we've been using this whole time. But before we get started, let's get calm, alert, and ready to learn with some mindful listening.
Mindful listening. Begin by sitting in a comfortable position. You might want to close your eyes. Listen to the sound the bell makes until you can't hear it anymore. When the sound stops, raise your hand. Now, with your eyes closed, begin to breathe naturally as soon as you hear the bell. Count how many breaths you can take before the bell stops. Notice how your body feels. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Now that we're calm, alert, and ready to learn, let's go over the objectives for today. I can solve real-world addition problems. I can solve real-world subtraction problems. I can use different strategies to solve real-world problems. Go ahead and get your packet out and make sure you have a pen or a pencil, something to write with. We are on day 7 and it should say lesson 7 at the top. If you don't have a packet, that's okay. Just grab a piece of paper and something to write with so you can follow along with me. Let's review our key words that let us know if we're adding or subtracting. Today, we're putting them together. So we're not going to know what we're doing unless we find those detective clue words. On your piece of paper in your packet, there are words just like on my board. In all, combined, total, left, how much more, how many more, and all together. What I want you to do first is circle the words that mean you need to add. I'll give you a little bit to do this. So circle the words that tell you we need to add. Let's see if you found them all. These are the words you should have circled that are keywords for addition. In all, combined, total, and all together. These words mean we're joining numbers together, So our number is going to get larger. We're going to be adding. Now we know that the ones that are left are the ones that we're going to be using for subtraction. So go ahead and underline those now. You should underline left, how much more, and how many more. These are clue detective words that let us know to subtract in a story problem. Because we know story problems aren't just going to tell us to add or to tell us to subtract. If you need to reference this at the top of your packet during our lesson, that's perfectly fine. That's what it's there for. So let's practice. We're going to read the story problem twice, and we're really going to have to think if we're adding or subtracting. Franklin went to the pet shop. He saw 14 cats and 9 dogs. How many more cats did Franklin see than dogs? And your clue word for today is pets. I'm going to read this one more time, and I want you to close your eyes and visualize this problem in your mind. Franklin went to the pet shop. He saw 14 cats and 9 dogs. How many more cats did Franklin see than dogs? Let's circle important information that will help us solve this problem. On your paper, circle 14 cats. That's how many he saw. No more and no less. We should also circle 9 dogs. That's how many dogs he saw. Now let's be a detective and figure out if there's a clue word that lets us know if we need to add or subtract. If you need to look at the top of your packet for reference, go for it. We should underline how many more. We're comparing cats to dogs. When we compare, this means we're going to be subtracting. So now let's solve this story problem with different strategies. We're going to use a picture, write an equation, and use our number line. Here we have a picture to represent our cats. There are 14 circles, so you can draw 14 circles on your paper. Again, we don't want to spend a lot of time trying to draw cats. We just want to be efficient and get the problem solved. The 9 yellow circles represent how many dogs were seen at the pet store. So now let's write an equation to go with this. We have 14 take away 9 because we're comparing how many cats there were to dogs. Now we're going to use our visuals and cross out on our cats because we're going to see how many more cats there were than dogs. I put 9 X's for cats because we're taking away 9 to represent how many dogs were seen. And we're going to see how many green circles are left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if we get 5 on our equation. Here we have 14 minus 9. Start with 14 in your head and count back 9. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have 5 green circles left over because there were 5 more cats than dogs. And we should also end up with that for our equation. 5 more cats. Make sure you label it so we know what we're talking about with our story problem. We can also check our work on our number line. We want to start with the greater number, 14, and we're going to be going to the left because our number is getting smaller. Start at 14, and we're going to make 9 jumps, and we land on 5. There were 5 more cats at the pet shop than there were dogs. This is a comparison story problem for subtraction. Let's try another one. We're still at the pet shop, and again, our key word for today is pets. Well, at the pet shop, Franklin decided to go into the fish room. In one of the tanks, he saw 8 goldfish and 7 angelfish. How many fish did Franklin see in all? I'm going to read this again. I want you to close your eyes and visualize this. Pretend you're the one going into the pet shop seeing all of these fish. Here we go. While at the pet shop, Franklin decided to go into the fish room. In one of the tanks, he saw 8 goldfish and 7 angelfish. How many fish did Franklin see in all? Let's circle our important information. Because there's a lot going on, there's a lot of words, so let's narrow it down to what we really need. We should circle 8 goldfish. That represents how many goldfish were in the tank. Let's also circle 7 angelfish. Because there weren't just goldfish in the tank, there were also some angelfish. Do you see a detective keyword that lets us know if we're adding or subtracting? Because this story problem doesn't just tell us we add or we subtract. Do you see it? I know I sure do. I see in all. In all means we're going to be joining or combining these numbers together. This is an addition story problem. Now let's solve this with our 3 different strategies: circle drawings, writing an equation, and our number line. We're going to draw circles to represent our goldfish, circles for our angelfish. If you don't have different colors, that's okay. You can always draw a line to divide them. Let's look at our goldfish. We have 8 green circles to represent our 8 goldfish. But there were also other fish in that tank. 7 angelfish represented with our yellow circles. Let's try an equation to go with this. We know that we're combining, putting them together, so we're going to be using a plus sign. 8 plus 7. Now let's count on in our mind. We're going to put the number 8 in our head and count up 7. We could count all of these circles, but we want to save some time. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There were a total of 15 fish in the fish tank. Let's try another strategy, the number line strategy. Since we're adding, we're going to be going to the right. We always want to start with our larger number so we make less jumps. We're going to start at 8 and jump to the right 7. And looky there, we landed on 15. So no matter what strategy we used, we ended up with 15 fish. And make sure you label your story problem answer. Before you try one on your own, let's take a brain break. This one is called If You're a Kid. This one will get you up and moving.
Boys and girls, this song is about following directions. So listen closely and see if you can follow the directions that I give. And get ready because later on we're gonna dance. If you're a boy, if you're a boy, clap your hands. If you're a girl, if you're a girl, stomp your feet. If you're a boy, if you're a boy, tap your head. If you're a girl, if you're a girl, rub your belly. you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around and stop. If you're a boy, if you're a boy, raise the roof. If you're a girl, if you're a girl, jump rope. If you're a boy, if you're a boy, fly a spaceship. If you're a girl, if you're a girl, go swimming. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around and stop. If you're a boy, if you're a boy, become a snake. If you're a girl, if you're a girl, become a frog. If you're a boy, if you're a boy, snap your fingers. If you're a girl, if you're a girl, run in place. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around and stop. Let's do one more time. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around. If you're a kid, dance around, dance, dance around and stop.
I hope you're able to get up a little bit and get your wiggles out. That was brought to you by Harry Kindergarten. Now let's take some deep belly breaths to get us back calm, alert, and ready to learn. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. 1, 2. Now let's try one of these story problems on our own in your packet. I'm going to read it once, then I want you to read it and try to find the important information and those key words. Again, this is still about Franklin at the pet shop. Our clue word for today is pets. Franklin had $20 when he went to the pet store. When he left, he had $9 left. What's the difference between how much he had when he got to the store and when he left the store? So go ahead and read this again and circle any important information and find any of those clue words and underline them. Let's see if you found all of the important information in this story problem. We should have circled $20. This represents how much money Franklin had when he went into the pet store. No more and no less. We also need to circle $9. This is what he had when he exited the store. Now, do you see any clue words that might tell us if we're adding or subtracting? I bet you did. We have left, which is a clue word for subtraction, and difference also tells us that we will be subtracting. So we know what he came in with and what he left with, but we don't know how much money he actually spent. And when you spend money, it goes away. And again here, we can also underline left for when he left the store. I'm going to give you some time to draw your picture. Here I have 20 circles to represent the $20 he had when he came into the store. You're going to write an equation and also use the number line. Go ahead and try that now. Let's look at our circle drawing first. Again, we don't want to spend time drawing dollar bills because that's just going to take too long and take away from the story problem. So here I have 20 green circles to represent the money that Franklin went into the store with. I took away 9 of those circles because I know that that's what he had when he left the store. We're trying to figure out how much money he spent while he was there. Let's see how many circles are not crossed out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see if our equation gets us 11 as well. The equation you should have written down is 20 minus 9. Our clue words were difference and left. When you spend money, the money goes away. You have less money than when you started with. So we can put the number 20 in our mind and count backward 9. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. We got 11, just like we have 11 circles left. $11. Now let's try our number line strategy just to double check our work. Remember, any strategy works. It just depends on what you like the best and what works for you. We are going to start at the greater number 20 down here. And since we're subtracting, we're going to be going to the left of our number line. We're going to be making 9 jumps to the left. Left means less. So we start at 20, jump back 9, and end up at 11. So no matter what strategy we used, our circle drawings, our equation counting back from our larger number, or our number line, we now know that Franklin spent $11. What do you think he spent $11 on? What do you think he bought? Here's an extension activity that you can do at home. And this time you can decide if it's an addition problem or a subtraction problem since we did both of them today. Just make sure that your keyword matches your problem. If you're making an addition sentence, make sure you use a word like in all, total, altogether. If you're doing a subtraction problem, make sure you're using keywords like difference, how much more, how many more, or have left. Write an equation to go with your story problem. Make sure you use a minus sign for subtraction and a plus sign for adding. Draw a picture to go with your story problem and solve your problem or see if a friend or a family member can solve it. I'm Mrs. Sapp. This is a review of first grade math, addition and subtraction, real world problems, and your keyword for today is pet.